Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Diri Varadari. Yashodhana Nana Bhaja Janaranjana. Yashodhana Nana Bhaja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Radha Madhava ki, Shri Radha Radhanath ki. Jayam Vishnupada Paramamsa Parivrakacharya Astotara Shata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, DBT founder Srila Prabhupada ki, ISKCON Samstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada ki, Mantra Upasaka Srila Prabhupada ki, Janapati Bhakta Srila Prabhupada ki, Preeminent Shiksha Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Save up the whole world Srila Prabhupada ki. Jayam Vishnupada Paramamsa Parivrakacharya Astotara Shata Shri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki, Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Premsa Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki, Shri Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan ki, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki, Mayapur Dham ki, Ganga Maya ki, Yamuna Maya ki, Tulsi Maharani ki, Sama Vyata Bhakta Vrinda ki, Gaura Premananda, All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 24, entitled Chanting the Song Sung by Lord Shiva. Text number 44. You can repeat after me. Darshanam no didrikshanam dehi bhagavatachitam rupam priyatamam swanam sarvendriya gunanjanan darshanam no didrikshunam darshanam no didrikshunam dehi bhagavatarchitam dehi bhagavatarchitam rupam priyatamam swanam rupam priyatamam swanam sarvendriya gunanjanan sarvendriya gunanjanan darshanam no didrikshunam dehi bhagavatachitam rupam priyatamam swanam sarvendriya gunanjanan darshanam no didrikshunam dehi bhagavatachitam rupam priyatamam swanam sarvendriya gunanjanan. Darshanam no didrikshunam dehi bhagavatachitam rupam priyatamam swanam sarvendriya gunanjanan darshanam no didrikshunam dehi bhagavatachitam rupam priyatamam swanam sarvendriya gunanjanan darshanam no didrikshunam bhagavatachitam rupam priyatamam swanam sarvendriya gunanjanan. Of your devotees, sarva indriya, all the senses, guna, qualities, anjanam, very much pleased, Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki. My dear Lord, I wish to see you exactly in that form that your very dear devotees worship. You have many other forms, but I wish to see your form that is especially liked by the devotees. Please be merciful upon me and show me that form. For only that form worshipped by the devotees can perfectly satisfy all the demands of the senses. Purport. In the Shruti or Veda mantra, it is said that the supreme absolute truth is Sarva Kama, Sarva Ganda, Sarva Rasa, or in other words, he is known as Rasa Vaisa, the source of all relishable relationships, rasas. We have various senses, the powers of seeing, tasting, smelling, touching, etc. And all the propensities of our senses can be satisfied when the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchyate. Bhakti means engaging all the senses in the service of the master of the senses, Rishikesh, Narada Pancharatra. These material senses, however, cannot be engaged in the service of the Lord. Therefore, one has to become free from all designation. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tat paratvena nirmalam. One has to become free from all designations of false egotism and thus become purified. When we engage our senses in the service of the Lord, the desires or the inclinations of the senses can be perfectly fulfilled. Lord Shiva therefore wants to see the Lord in a form which is inconceivable to the Buddha philosophers or the Buddhists. The impersonalists and the voidists also have to see the form of the Absolute. In Buddhist temples, there are forms of Lord Buddha in meditation, but these are not worshipped like the forms of the Lord in Vaishnava temples, forms like Radha Krishna, Sita Ram, or Lakshmi Narayan. Amongst the different sampradayas, Vaishnava sects, either Radha Krishna or Lakshmi Narayan is worshipped. Lord Shiva wants to see that form perfectly, just as the devotees want to see it. The words Rupam Priyatamam Swanam are specifically mentioned here, indicating that Lord Shiva wants to see that form which is very dear to the devotees. The word Swanam is especially significant because only the devotees are very, very dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Jnanis, Yogis, and Karmis are not particularly dear, but the Karmis simply want to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead as their order supplier. The Jnanis want to see him to become one with him, and the Yogis want to see him partially represented within their heart as Paramatma. But the Bhaktas, or the devotees, want to see him in his complete perfection, as stated in Brahma Samhita 530. Venum Kwanantam Aravinda Dalayaksham Parhavatam Sam Asitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept at playing on his flute, whose eyes are blooming like lotus petals, whose head is bedecked with peacock feathers, whose beauty is tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and whose unique loveliness charms millions of cupids. Thus Lord Shiva's desire to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is described in this way. That is, he wants to see him as he appears to the Bhagavatas, the devotees. The conclusion is that Lord Shiva wants to see him in complete perfection and not in the impersonalist or voidist way. Although the Lord is one in his various forms, Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, still his form as the young enjoyer of the gopis and companion of the cowherd boys, Ishara Murti, is the most perfect. Thus, Vaishnavas accept the form of the Lord in his Vrindavan pastimes as the chief form. Om Gyana Timrandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Be'evacha Atitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Ya Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Haripriya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The translation again. My dear Lord, I wish to see you exactly in the form that your very dear devotees worship. You have many other forms, but I wish to see your form that is especially liked by the devotees. Please be merciful upon me and show me that form. For only that form worshipped by the devotees can perfectly satisfy all the demands of the senses. Hare Krishna. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, is known in three features. That is Bhagavan realization, Paramatma realization, and Bhagavan realization. After three realizations, Bhagavan realization is the best. However, different people have different realizations about the Absolute Truth. As Prabhupada has mentioned here, the karmis consider the Supreme Lord to be an order supplier. I do some prayer, some ritual, I give some charity, and I expect God to fulfill my desires. God is like a genie. I rub the lamp, the genie appears, then I make a wish. The karmis think that they are controllers because they are the ones making the orders. Like online shopping, you make the order and you expect it to be delivered. And if I don't get what I want, I stop believing. Prabhupada mentioned Buddhism. In Japanese culture, they believe in some entity called a yokai. They are mainly depicted as demons and sometimes worshipped as gods. The key idea behind a yokai is that if many people believe in a concept, that concept takes birth as a sentient being. For example, if many people believe in the boogeyman becomes a real entity. Likewise, if many people believe in Santa Claus, then the idea of Santa Claus becomes a real entity. So what if I do the opposite? What if I stop believing? What happens? A long time ago, there was a show called Merlin. Maybe some older people might know about the show. And towards the climax of the show, there was an evil witch, and no one could defeat her. Then the solution to defeat the evil witch was to stop believing in magic. Then the witch lost her magic. Then the people stopped believing in her. So the evil witch faded out of existence. You'll find in the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, a similar idea is put into practice by the greatest demon king, Hiranyakashipu. After Hiranyakashipu came into power, one of the most atrocious things that he put into practice was to persecute the Brahmanas and stop the worship of Lord Vishnu. And the idea behind that was that if Vishnu doesn't get his offerings, then Vishnu won't have anything to eat. Without anything to eat, Vishnu will starve. If he starves, he will become weak and eventually die. So the karmis consider God to be an order supplier, that they are the ones maintaining the existence of God. And if God misbehaves by not fulfilling my desire, I'm going to punish God by not giving him my one agrabati and my one banana and one orange and my one 250 ml milk. Actually, by forgetting God, it is going to have an adverse effect. The Yuga Dharma of the age is to chant the holy name of God. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama va eva kavalam, Halo Nasti, Eva Nasti, Eva Gatir, Anyatha. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. If you combine that verse with another from Bhagavad Gita 4:7, whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharat, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. As you already know, it is said that Kalki will appear at the end of the age. But Krishna is saying, whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, then he will descend. So the end of the yuga is not the condition for Kalki to appear. The condition for Kalki to appear is revealed in the 2 verses that was quoted. One verse is saying that the religious practice of the age is to chant the holy name. And the other verse is saying that when there is a decline in religious practice, in other words, a decline in chanting the holy name, then that becomes the condition for Kalki to appear. When the very last person who remembers the holy name is gone, no one knows the holy name anymore. It is completely forgotten in this world. At that time, Kalki will appear. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath Ki. Srila Prabhupada Ki. So every devotee is like a chain that is holding Kalki back. And as Kali Yuga progresses, people will gradually forget God. People will forget the holy name of the Lord. Krishna consciousness will be in decline. And as devotees disappear, those chains that are holding Kalki back will also disappear. And when Kalki comes, the karmis will get first-hand experience of whether Kalki is an order supplier or not. As much as it is a warning to the karmis, it is also a warning to the devotees as well. Many devotees fall into the category of mixed devotees, devotees that have material aspirations. Among such devotees, we have devotees who are karma mishra bhaktas, devotees who dovetail their fruitive activities in the service of the Lord. Similarly, the reverse is also true. We have devotees who practice Krishna consciousness not for advancing spiritually, but for want of material profit. They are called Bhakta Mishra Karmis, devotees who use the temple facility and Krishna consciousness for sense gratification. This is especially true for the deity in the temple. If I don't get my one plate Mahaprasad, I won't come do service. So the deity in the temple is an order supplier. What does the deity supply? The deity supplies Mahaprasad. Offer this box of jewelry to the deities. We'll sell it as Mahaprasad. I need Mahaprasad for some sick person somewhere. I need Mahaprasad to feed my doctor. So the deity in the temple becomes a machine that makes mercy, a mercy-making machine that everybody uses for their convenience. This is the foundation of impersonalism. As the late Lakshminath Prabhu used to say, it's all happening in the name of Bhakti Yoga. That means externally it may look like a devotional activity, but internally it is not devotional service. The Acharyas say that one should not hear the holy names of the Lord from the mouth of an impersonalist, because it is just like milk touched by the mouth of a serpent. A serpent means a poisonous snake. When milk is touched by the mouth of a poisonous snake, the milk is laced with poison. If you drink it, you will be poisoned and die. In the same way, when you drink the nectar of the holy names of the Lord through your ears that came out of the mouth of an impersonalist, that nectar is laced with poison. It will affect your practice of Krishna consciousness negatively. As Prabhupada says here in the purport, the Gyanis want to know God so he can merge with God. And someone who wants to merge with God indirectly wants to play the role of God. So the next time you go out to give out Mahaprasad, remember you are playing the role of God. You are giving out God's mercy without the qualifications of God. The giving and accepting of prasadam is called a loving exchange in the nectar of instruction. Because it is a loving exchange, that means that prasadam is a bond between the giver and the receiver. So if the giver's consciousness is using the deity as a mercy-making machine for his own convenience, that consciousness is problematic. It is poison. And that prasadam that is bonding the giver and the receiver is poisoned by association. So the person who is receiving that prasadam is unknowingly getting poisoned. What is this poison? Prasadam is spiritual. Chanting Hare Krishna is spiritual. So what's the poison? The poison is that you will not lean towards Krishna consciousness. You may be practicing Krishna consciousness, but you are not developing a relationship with Krishna. You may lean towards Paramatma realization, which is also spiritual, and you might unwittingly identify yourself as the super soul in the heart. You can lean towards Brahman realization, which is also a bona fide spiritual realization, and unwittingly become an impersonalist who wants to play God. By engaging in spiritual activities, you will be advancing spiritually. Advancing spiritually doesn't imply that you are developing a relationship with Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. To merge with the Brahman effulgence of the Lord requires a little bit of bhakti. At minimum, you should at least be respectful of the Lord. The Lord is known as Mukunda, the one who liberates. You need the Lord's favor in order to merge with the Brahman effulgence, and that favor requires the practitioner to at least be respectful to the Lord as a person. If you haven't been developing your relationship with Krishna, you will find problems in your life. So you will find that there will be medical problems, financial problems, social problems, racial problems, marital problems, gender problems, generational problems, political problems, organizational problems, and so on. All these problems stem from one source. There is a problem with your relationship with the deity, which is the core of the entire congregation. Naturally, if there's a problem at the core, you are not going to see the absolute truth in complete perfection because you don't have the qualification. Actually, if the Yuga Dharma is to chant the holy names, why did Prabhupada introduce deity worship? Deity worship was actually introduced by Lord Chaitanya. Most of the pastimes regarding deity worship comes from Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Deity worship is there so that you can practice giving respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because if you can't respect Him, there is no chance that you can love Him. If you can't respect the other person as a person, how are you going to love the other person as a person? Deity worship is a practice of how to treat an exalted person like the Supreme Lord as a person. Every morning after Mangal Arti, the Pujari performs deity puja. There are 16 plus items that are offered. That is a practice of giving him respect as a person. The first one is asana, giving him a sitting place. The second one is swagata, an official welcoming. The third one is padya, washing the feet. The fourth one is argyam, water for cooling the head. The fifth one is achaman, rinsing the mouth. The sixth one is madhupak, a refreshment, a sweet beverage. The seventh one is achaman again, to rinse the Lord's mouth after he has taken his beverage. The eighth one is snana, bathing the Lord. The ninth is vastra, dressing the Lord with fresh clothing. The 10th is abharana, decorating with jewelry. The 11th is ganda, sandalwood paste, which is offered to cool the body. The 12th is pushpa, offering flowers to the Lord. The 13th is dupa, offering fragrance in the form of incense. The 14th is deepa, offering a lamp. The 15th is naivedya, offering some food preparation. And the 16th is pranam, offering prayers in obeisances. Sounds like a complicated process. However, in Vedic culture, this is common sense. If you analyze the procedure of puja, you will find that this procedure is exactly what you would do upon receiving an exalted guest in your home. A brahmana comes to your home. What do? You give him a snana, a sitting place. You call all the family members to be present and make an official welcoming of your guest, swagata. If you come to the Sunday Love Feast class, what happens there? The guest speaker is invited to take a seat on an asana. Then the person who makes announcements will welcome the guest speaker by introducing the speaker to the public. We like to welcome His Holiness so and so. He has preached all over the world, including here and there. We are honored to have you here, Maharaj. Everybody give Maharaj a round of applause. Snana and swagata, the first two items offered in puja, is practically being done at every Sunday love feast. Sometimes you may get a guest that has come to your home after a long journey. Like Sudama Vipra, there's a picture of Krishna washing his feet. That is padya. Perhaps it was very hot outside. So to cool the head of your guest, you sprinkle some cool water on his head. Argyam. Perhaps your guest was traveling in a car and he may have dozed off. He's going to need some achaman for rinsing his mouth. Thereafter, you may offer your guest a refreshment, some water, juice, tea, coffee, whatever it may be, madhuparka, a sweet beverage. Then achaman for rinsing the mouth again. If you have the facility, you can offer your guest a place to refresh himself, a place for him to bath, that is snana. You can even offer anga vastra, a towel for wiping himself, and then follow up with giving your guest clean clothes to wear, vastra. You can give some jewelry to wear, abharana. You offer your guest ganda, some sandalwood paste, apply to your forehead to cool the head. You offer your guest flowers, light some incense to make the room fragrant, and then offer a lamp. Afterwards, you can offer your guest a meal, and after that, offer some pranam obeisances. The same application that is used for the deity is applied when receiving an exalted guest. It is not some esoteric divine practice. This was common knowledge in Vedic civilization, the process by which one offers tokens of respect to another person. As I mentioned Sudama Vipra before, Sudama Vipra is a perfect example of an exalted guest that has been received properly. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 80, text 20 to 22. Lord Krishna seated his friend Sudama upon the bed. Then the Lord, who purifies the whole world, personally offered him various tokens of respect and washed his feet. O king, after which he sprinkled the water on his own head. He anointed him with divinely fragrant sandalwood, aguru, and kumkum paste, and happily worshipped him with aromatic incense and arrays of lamps. After finally offering him betel nut and a gift of a cow, he welcomed him with pleasing words. So the supreme worshipable deity doesn't only receive respect, but he knows how to offer tokens of respect to others. Krishna knows how to properly receive a guest. In addition, another example is given in the 10th canto. Devaki wishes to see her children that were killed by Kamsa. So Krishna and Balaram goes to find Devaki's children, and they end up going to the lower planetary systems. Specifically, they go to Sutal, and the ruler of Sutal is the demon king Bali Maharaj. When Krishna and Balaram arrived, Bali Maharaj received them very well. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 85, text number 37. He worshipped them with all the riches at his disposal, priceless clothing, ornaments, fragrant sandalwood paste, betel nut, lamps, sumptuous food, and so on. Thus he offered them all his family's wealth and also his own self. So even the king of the Asuras, the demon king himself, knows the procedure of offering tokens of respect, having received their lordships both as the supreme deity and his most honored guest. If you don't know how to offer respect, there is no way you can love that person. We have to learn to respect a person first in order to develop love for them. In fact, if you are a married woman, you will be doing the same procedure upon receiving your husband. Husband came home from work. You already know he has a favorite sitting spot. The wife will make sure the asan is available. Then swagata, bring the children to welcome the father, and so on. Isn't that what Mother Yashoda told Krishna in Krishna book? Krishna, your father is going to take prashadam and he's waiting for you to come home. So come home now. Then Krishna's friends said, Krishna, we are having so much fun now. If you go, we are not going to play with you anymore. Then Krishna became uncertain. Should he carry on playing with his friends or go home? But Mother Yashoda decided for Krishna by chasing all the other boys away and brought Krishna home to get ready to receive Nanda Maharaj, who had come home after herding the cows. So these 16 plus items can be applied to anybody in any given situation. The only difference is that the circumstance in whom is receiving the respect. You wouldn't treat a Shudra and a Kshatriya with the same level of respect. You would give them respect that is deserving of their position. For example, if you are going to offer an asan to a Shudra and a Kshatriya, you'll give a Shudra an asan and you'll give a Kshatriya a better quality asana. Alternatively, you can give a Shudra an asana that is lower than that of a Kshatriya. You wouldn't offer a lamp to an ordinary human being like a Shudra, but you can offer a lamp to a guru of society, a Brahmana. That is more or less the idea. There are more details regarding Varna, Ashrama, Dharma, and the process of giving respect, but that's for another class. But in this class, who is Lord Shiva? He is the founder Acharya of the Rudra Sampradaya, a disciplic succession of Vaishnavas. He already knows how to properly offer respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and because of that, he knows how to love the Supreme Lord. In this verse, Lord Shiva is expressing love. Outwardly, it may look like Lord Shiva is teaching his disciples the 10 prachetas. Internally, this verse is a request to the Supreme Lord. If you look at the chronology of this pastime, it is happening during the lifetime of Swayambhuva Manu, the first father of mankind. And this request that Lord Shiva has made, this request gets fulfilled during the reign of the seventh father of mankind, Vaivashvata Manu. As Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, the form of the Lord that is most relished by the devotees is seen in the pastimes regarding the cowherd boys, and especially that form that is seen by the gopis. In Vrindavan, there are Shiva temples around the area. During the day, the worship of the Shiva Lingam is normal, but in the evening, the Shiva Lingam is dressed as a gopi. Lord Shiva appears as a gopi named Gopeshwar. Some say Gopeshwari. So this gopi, form of Lord Shiva, becomes the bodyguard of the Rasa Leela pastime, while Lord Shiva is guarding the place. At the same time, Lord Shiva gets to see that form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that is especially liked by the Lord's most beloved devotees. So Lord Shiva's request gets fulfilled. If you want your desires to be fulfilled, at least learn to respect Krishna as a person. If you learn to respect Krishna as a person, then you are qualified to fall in love with him. Likewise, if you learn how to respect Krishna, you learn how to respect those around you automatically. I'll conclude with this last point. Someone may ask, what if you can't afford these various items that need to be offered? Prabhupada has answered this in his various purports. If you don't have anything, you can still offer a place to sit. You don't even have death. You don't even have death. You can offer some water to drink. Don't even have death. At least say some nice words. Asana is a sitting place. Paniyam is offering of water to drink. And pranam is an offering of some nice words. No one can say that they don't even have one of these items that can be offered as a token of respect. I'll stop over here. Any questions or comments? Yes.
Hare Krishna. So in this canto, there's the story of how Daksha does not really welcome or receive Lord Shiva in a very respectful manner based on his appearance, even though Lord Shiva is one of the greatest devotees of the Lord. So for us here on the earthly planet, how do we distinguish who is actually a great devotee and how we should welcome various people? That's just...
It's very difficult to recognize who loves Krishna the most. But you would see from the outward activities that they are lovers of Krishna. And in that way, you offer respect accordingly. Is that okay? Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in one of his books, he has given a list of how respect should be given from the lowest person to the highest person. And he said that if someone has taken a human form, that person has gone through 8 million species of life and has finally achieved the human form. That person has struggled a lot. He is deserving of respect. And then above an ordinary human being is a Shudra. And a Shudra is connected to the Vedic culture. He is deserving of more respect than an ordinary human being. And then amongst all Shudras, the ones that are senior most in age are deserving of more respect than those that are younger. And above Shudra is the Vaishyas. So you will give more respect to a Vaishya than you would a Shudra. And amongst all the Vaishyas, you'll give more respect to those that have the most wealth. And above the Vaishyas is the Kshatriyas. You'd give more respect to a Kshatriya than you would a Vaishya. And amongst all the Vaishyas, amongst all the Kshatriyas, the one that has the most power, you give him the most respect. And then above the Kshatriyas is the Brahmanas. You would give more respect to a Brahmana than you would a Kshatriya. And amongst all the Brahmanas, you would give more respect to the one that has the most knowledge. Above a Brahmana is a sannyasi. You would give more respect to a sannyasi than you would to a Brahmana. And amongst all the sannyasis, you would give the most respect to the sannyasi that is the most renounced. And then above a sannyasi is a Vaishnava. You'd give more respect to a Vaishnava than you would a sannyasi. And amongst all the Vaishnavas, you give the most respect to the one that loves Krishna the most. So that was Bhaktivinoda Thakur's list of who is deserving of respect from lowest to highest. Any other questions or comments? Ananta Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Srila Prabhupada ki.